don't like the current constitution. What Kenyans have said is that what was in the table for us is not what we asked for. We asked for a cow. You've given us a goat. Behold, bring us the cow.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in concert with what my brother PLO has just said, I think we do agree that the Kenyans have been the best jury. They've given their verdict, and everybody knows that. I think it's therefore incumbent upon the 9th Parliament, and indeed the rest of Kenyans, to examine the various proposals, right beginning from the Bomas of Kenya, Naivasha, and Kilifi, and therefore find out the sticking points, microscope on them, and find a way of getting away with them, and of course thrashing out, coming up with a consensus that of course is going to be in the interest of the general body politic, or indeed Kenyans.
This is the one time in the country where the current leadership, Parliament, has been questioned. They've received a lot of flack all round. How can we evolve from this with the experience we're seeing happening now and say it is time for good leadership in the country?
Good leadership is like good wine. The more it receives fire, the fire of time, the better it matures. And I believe that leaders will take this particular statement by the people in a positive manner, will be able to respond in a very mature way. And it is a lesson to different political parties. The time has come for them to organize differently, to allow younger people, men and women, to begin to come to the forefront and to define issues from a national perspective. And I believe if they begin to do that, then they'll be able to hand over the baton of leadership in a manner that will make this country sustainable. The tragedy of many an African leader is the assumption that they must remain on the stage until they are removed. It is good that every actor serves and lives when the people like him or her.
Joseph, it has been loosely argued that certain people in leadership now were men and women of goodwill, good character and good morals, and it is said at some levels that they were fine until the flag began to fly on the bonnets of their cars, and then they sort of lost it. So
absolutely,
we're saying now, in the face of such evident disregard of some of the elements that put them in the public platform, how far are we in terms of reconciling the difference between institution and personality in Kenyan politics?
The French Louis say touche. I couldn't agree with you more. Unfortunately, people or persons who were previously died in the wool Democrats or pro-reforms have indeed, after ascending to power, changed face. And so I think which corroborates the saying that goes that absolute power corrupts. And it's unfortunate for this country that just after a few years, we see power seems to have gotten into the heads of our political leaders, which I think is unfortunate for this country. We must indeed, I think, rise above mere power politics in this country and indeed engage in what is important to that common Mwananchi called Wanjiku. Because at the end of this all, Mwananchi would want to see food on his table and not a demagogue or a rhetorician engaging and pandering on a public gallery. I think that is key.
Gentlemen, address this for me. One of the extreme arguments that has been thrown out to the public is that this document that is being discussed, clamored for, and fought about will not directly translate into your glass of water at home, your shelter, your food, and there's been extreme arguments on either side on what the Constitution can directly do to better your life. How do we reconcile that difference?
Let's understand this. A constitution in and of itself is not a magic wand. It is not as if when we have a good constitution, our lives will change immediately and dramatically. But a good constitution forms a firm foundation stone upon which we can begin to govern ourselves in a proper manner. And that is why I hold the view that if we have a constitution that has an executive who is accountable to the people of Kenya, a legislature that allows people to express themselves, a devolved government that makes the people realize their potential, in the fullness of time, the combination of a good nation, good leaders, patriotic citizens, is the perfect recipe for the development of a country. Therefore, you need a firm foundation. And that is why we think a constitution is a good thing, and that a good constitution is a good beginning point. Hence, our desire for such a good constitution.
Joseph, what is your view on that aspect of has enough been discussed so we don't have arguments of people being told, look for the direct result of the document within your own environment in terms of your everyday life?
Yeah. I think it's key to mention that basically the Constitution is a protocol between the governed and those governing. It is pretty much about, it's a political document as well as economic document. It involves a lot about redistribution of national resources across the country. And so if, for instance, we give a center of power a lot of power, or trappings of power for that matter, and enable him perhaps to channel the resources into a particular region of the country and not the rest of the country, that of course would be very much be informed with as a result of the bad constitution. But of course, if as Kenyans we put in place a constitution that is going to enable those holding power or those governing to redistribute the resources evenly across the country, that of course is a tacit, or implies that each of our Njiku is going to be having Mokimo and Ugali on her table or his table.
One more time, my lines are open, the numbers on your screen. Please give us your name and your question or opinion.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, good morning.
Good afternoon.
It's actually good afternoon. How are you?
We're good. Your name, please?
Good.
Thank you. Lumumba hujambo?
Sijambo mzee.
My names are Andambi Arthur. I'm calling from Gong area.
Yes.
I just have one or two comments to make. The first one is that I'm happy the way you are debating. It's very mature and it's very good. But I just want to ask one question to you, Brother Lumumba, especially from a legal perspective. You have been saying that Kenyans do not want the current constitution, but they have rejected this proposed draft. Now, from a legal perspective, is there any avenue that Kenyans have to go back and start arguing that they need to have another constitutional dispensation, or this is a barren thing and we need to get back to this current constitution? And then the other comment I want to make is the comment that has been made over and again about ethnicity and so on and so forth. I just want to make a general comment that this is something that we see even in the West. For example, in the U.S., which we see as a model or as the epitome of democracy, we talk of Hispanics, we talk of African Americans, and so on and so forth. So let's not demonize this thing as if it's just an African problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andambi. Next caller?
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Your name, please, and go ahead with your question.
My name is Yahya. I'm calling from Mombasa.
Yes, you're here.
The Kenyans have decided, with a margin of about 1 million votes, is quite a substantial vote. Now, what I would like to point out is that this is a lesson to our politicians and the president too. Because had the president not declared his stand of saying that he's supporting the Yes campaign, or starting the Yes campaign, that was a big mistake that he did. What he should have done is to let the Kenyans, he should have remained neutral. He should have left the ground to the Kenyans themselves to decide, rather than saying, I support this side. This was a big mistake which he did. And in my opinion, I believe he will have made a president and a half in this Africa continent, by being a president who has not given a stand to any side in terms of political issues, no matters are concerned. So he will have gained a very substantial amount of respect throughout the world had he not declared himself on this side or on the other side. This is my point which I would like to have put it through.
Right. Do you have another call? Right. Let's just take those closing moments, but don't take off on a tangent because now when it comes to legal arguments, you're likely to lose us here.
No, I'm not.
Right. Let's just have an answer to that then.
I think Andambi has raised a very critical question, and there are two choices here. What I call the Makwere Avenue of simply saying Kenyans have rejected the proposed constitution, we have a constitution, let us go on as if nothing happened. That is the route not to take. The route to take is to say Kenyans wanted a constitution that addressed certain issues. We all agreed that those issues were not addressed. That is why we said we would amend them in the event that we received a yes vote. The people have rejected the constitution. We as political leaders, as parliamentarians, What legal instruments should we put in place? And Parliament should very quickly enact facilitative legislation